Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for checking out MTGRocks.com. My name is Alan. Today, we have some Kamigawa Neon Dynasty previews to go over. Yesterday was the preview stream for Wizards of the Coast for Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. They dropped some really cool cards on us that we get to kind of brew over the next couple of weeks until preview season starts. And so, yeah, let's go get right into the cards that Wizards showed off yesterday on stream. First off is our brand new Planeswalker, Kaito Suzuki. So Kaito is a 3-mana Planeswalker, 1 blue and a black for a 3 loyalty Kaito Planeswalker. At the beginning of your end step, if Kaito entered the battlefield this turn, he phases out, and that's his passive ability. +1, draw a card, then discard a card unless you attacked this turn. -2, create a 1/1 blue ninja creature token with this creature cannot be blocked. And -7, you get an emblem with whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, search your library for a blue or a black creature card, put it onto the battlefield, and then shuffle. So Kaito, obviously, a brand new blue and black planeswalker that we have kind of been waiting for. A lot of the community's been asking for, which is really cool to see. Kaito is one of the main characters of the set. So we saw him in the preview teaser trailer that Wizards dropped yesterday as well. So very cool to see. There's a whole bunch of backstory about Kaito that's over on the Wizard site that you can go ahead and read up on if you're interested in the lore behind this. But from a aesthetic standpoint, so we obviously have the normal frame, normal looking Kaito. It looks very cool, kind of your standard looking planeswalker. Then the middle card here is the ninja frame, which you can see kind of has some very kind of futuristic but ninja-y aesthetics, which is pretty sweet. Definitely going to look really nice in foil. And then the last version is a very unique card that actually was spoiled by the Wizards GP Japanese Twitter account yesterday. And this is a version done by Hara Tetsuyo, which is Hara Tetsuo, which is he is a famous manga artist, most famously known for illustrating Fist of the North Star. So that is a very cool collaboration that Wizards has been able to kind of make happen here. They did a lot of the same when we had the Sorin the Mirthless from Innistrad Crimson Vow, done by the artist who did Castlevania. So they're working on stretching out their boundaries of who they're bringing in for art talent, which is really awesome to see. So from a competitive standpoint, I think actually Kaito's pretty darn good. +1, just straight up draw a card, and then getting to create a creature token that can protect Kaito if you want to. If you end up getting him to ultimate, you can get some pretty ridiculous cards out of your deck. So if you're playing this in standard, you could get Hullbreaker Horror. If you're playing this in Commander, you could get something like Sheoldred or Massacre Worm. There's a lot of really cool options that you could pull out with Kaito's ultimate. Now, the really big key thing with Kaito that makes him unique is that his passive ability lets him phase out. Basically meaning you play him, +1 him to draw a card, and then he phases out for the turn, which basically means he's untargetable. He can't be attacked during your opponent's turn until it comes back to your turn. So that makes him kind of a very resilient planeswalker. Your opponent has to deal with him on the turn he comes in before he phases out or in a subsequent turn. But then you've drawn some, quite a few cards off of it, and you might be able to protect Kaito a bit better, possibly get him out to his ultimate, and put some pretty powerful creatures in play with your, either ninja tokens or some other tokens that you might generate throughout those couple of turns that you're plussing him. So Kaito, I think, is going to be very strong. I expect that he's going to see play in standard. 3-mana planeswalkers are historically pretty strong across the board, so I expect to see seeing some competitive play across multiple formats. Next up, we have Atsushi the Blazing Sky. So it's a 4-mana 4/4 Dragon Spirit. It's got Flying and Trample, and it says when Atsushi the Blazing Sky dies, choose one of the following. Exile up the top 2 cards of your library. Until the end of your next turn, you may play those cards. And then the other option is create 3 treasure tokens. And I think this card's great. So Atsushi is kind of the descendant of the original Kamigawa Dragon Ryusei. You're going to see more of these kind of descendant dragons, these reborn dragons, show up in the cycle in Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. So, but if they're as good as Atsushi, I think the cycle is going to be quite good. Mark Rosewater said that when they were designing these cards, they wanted to harken back to some of the original cards, in that when the original dragons died, you got a powerful effect. But now with this version of the dragons, you get a choice of effects. So very, very strong. It comes down on 4. Depending on kind of how you're playing the deck, that whatever deck this goes in, maybe on turn 3, if you're playing something like Magda, you might be able to get it down a little earlier. But then it ramps you, right? I think really the strongest thing that it can do here is ramp you from 4 or 3 or 4 to 6 or 7 respectively, so letting you power out some very strong cards very quickly. Now, it doesn't have to attack. It can just straight up die. It can get removed, and you just get the benefit. Also, I mean, just giving you card advantage is never a bad thing as well, too, right? So I think Atsushi is very strong. I think with Goldspan Dragon kind of seeing a little bit of a nerf in the alchemy scene and in historic especially, it's possible that Atsushi makes a splash. I also think that it's very possible and very likely that Atsushi sees its way into standard, possibly making a more mid-range dragon kind of tempo deck very possible. So, and as we see here from the art styles, again, we have on the left-hand side the regular one, the extended or borderless version in the middle, and then on the far right we have this fancy extended art version that is incredible looking. And I think that they mentioned on stream that the version on the right, the extended art one, was actually like oil painted, which is kind of crazy because there's a lot of detail in that picture of Atsushi there. So really cool to see. Definitely expect to see this one as a strong contender in constructed. Next up, we have Hitusugu Devouring Chaos. So Hitusugu, the same Hitusugu that we know from Heartless Hitusugu or Hitusugu Second Right from the original Kamigawa block. Hitusugu is a 4-mana 4/4 Ogre Demon, and it has black, sacrifice a creature and scry 2, or 2 and a red, tap it, exile a top card of your library. You may play that card this turn, and when you exile a non-land card this way, Hitusugu Devouring Chaos deals damage equal to the exile card's converted mana cost to any target. I don't know how to feel about this one. I think this is a fantastic card in Commander, right? Just straight up, this is a for sure Commander card in any of the decks that would probably want to play this. Probably something maybe Grixis, or just straight up as the Commander, since it is legendary. As for constructed, I think it is pretty powerful. Getting a fairly cheap scry outlet and a fairly cheap sack outlet is really nice. But then also just kind of being able to get some advantage, right? To look at the top cards of your library and get some value there. Get to burn some things out. Maybe you're trying to deal with a really big creature or a planeswalker. You can burn it. If you need to just get a little bit of extra reach to push your opponent's life total down to 0, you can do that. So Hitusugu, a very flexible and very powerful creature. And I think where this kind of may shine, there are some black-red kind of mid-range decks that are in the standard format right now. You might be able to slot this in there somewhere. I would probably love to see this in some kind of like major or like a higher cost 5 and 6, maybe 7 cost spells deck. Maybe we can try to take advantage of Hitusugu's second ability to deal 7 to your opponent. If, say, for example, you have Alrund's Epiphany on the top of your library, you can use this ability to burn your opponent out for 7. So very cool card. Now, as for the art, the normal and the borderless here, we can see is kind of standard, but the one on the right is what Wizards is calling the soft glow treatment. As you can see, there's kind of some like little neon lights around the text box. There's some flourishes along the top, and this is kind of the baseline for what's to come next. So, and we'll go over to that here. So these are the neon ink versions of the neon ink treatments. Now, as you can see, it takes the similar framing for the soft glow, but it adds these wild and crazy vibrant neon colors to the borders, as well as to what looks like the kind of like the energy, the dark energy coming off Hitusugu, right? Now, this treatment is only for Hitusugu first and foremost. These only come in foil. These versions, these neon ink versions, only come in foil, and there's a new foiling process that was just trying out that makes it feel like there's actually neon popping off the card, which seems really cool. My guess, it might be something akin to how some of the Pokemon cards have like kind of that thicker, more vibrant, dense looking kind of foiling onto it. There is a GIF on the on the daily MTG article that went up yesterday, kind of showing how the foiling looks. It's not the greatest of quality, but you kind of can get a sense of what the foiling is going to look like. Now, how to get these cards is very specific. These are incredibly rare versions of the cards. I should say the yellow one is a WPN premium promotional card. So if you have a WPN premium game store in your area, definitely check with them and see how they're running it. There is going to definitely be more details to come on how you are going to get that specific version of the card. But I would imagine supplies are probably fairly limited for that version of the card. But it's going to be the most accessible of the four here. Now, the other three, the blue, the green, and the red, only show up in collector booster boxers of Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. Now, the rarity of these cards is very high. Less than 1% of all collectors boosters are going to have one of these three versions of these of Hitusugu, right? So, the green, the blue, or the red. Now, the blue is the most common of the three. Still, again, fewer than 1% of packs will contain one of these. And as you go down from blue to green being the next rare, and then red being the most rare, with each color change, you cut the chances of finding that version in half. So these are incredibly chase cards, almost akin to your, your inventions from Kaladesh, your expeditions from Zendikar, right? So they're incredibly hard to find, and again, they're only available in premium products in the collector's boosters. So and we don't know the exact numbers, exactly how many roughly per case. Most likely it's not even going to be one per box. So we'll have to see kind of what those numbers end up being when Wizards announce those further. But these are incredible. I'm really excited to kind of see what these look like in person, because if the gift does any sort of amount of justice, even a partial justice to how good these look, I think these are going to be really cool to have, especially if you are playing this in Commander. You kind of want to bling out your deck with one of these guys. Okay, last thing here is and I'm going to pronounce this wrong, Ukiyo-e, I believe is how it's pronounced, art style of basic lands. So these are the full art basic lands for Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, and these are incredible. These are just, I'm going to leave this up here for a second and talking about them. So Wizards partnered with a Japanese art studio, Kaito, and they were the same studio that did the Japanese art for the Mystical Archive cards, which those also looked absolutely incredible as well too. So they partnered up with them again for Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, and they're working on a bunch of the cards in the set for the art. And they designed all of these basic lands to kind of reflect this traditional Japanese style of painting. And again, they're stunning. The top versions of the cards are showing the more natural landscape versions of kind of what the colors represent. And the bottom ones are actually showing kind of a more modernized, urbanized version of that landscape as well, all set in Kamigawa. Now, the theme of Kamigawa is kind of like this old and new, old meets new sort of deal, traditional meets modernization. And you kind of can see that reflected pretty nicely here in these cards, in these basic lands. Now, with these, they will come in both foil and non-foil. Traditional draft and set boosters, you will be able to get these in non-foil, and about 1/3 of all of the packs, 1/3 of set boosters, one in every 3 set and draft boosters will have one of these in non-foil. And then in collector's boosters, you will be able to get one of these in one per pack in foil. So again, these are just absolutely stunning and incredible. These became immediately my new favorite land. I thought I loved the Eternal Night lands from Innistrad Midnight Hunt and Crimson Vow, but these blow those out of the water, and Wizards just kind of keeps upping the ante when it comes to these stellar basic lands. And yeah, so that is all that we have today for Kamigawa Neon Dynasty previews. We are going to be going on a break for these for a little while, assuming that Wizards doesn't drop anything for us over the holiday season. But previews officially start on January 27th. So make sure that you guys stay tuned for those. We will be doing more of these videos for when those previews kick off. Make sure to check out mtgrocks.com for all of the information around Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, new Capenna, any of the anything else that's happening in the Magic world. We have the preview gallery going up for Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. We're doing a bunch of great finance articles, strategy content, news. It's all over there. So make sure you guys go and check out the website for all of that stuff. And thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you guys in the next video.